Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Caregiving and Entrepreneurship Reimagined podcast. I'm your host and caregiver and business coach, Melissa Miller. Thank you for tuning in today. And today I'm very excited to have my next guest on the podcast. Her name is Eva Zaberl. And I just invited her to come on to talk about mindset because I tell you, whether you're a caregiver or a business owner or both, like I am, mindset really does come into it because it's easy to say, oh, I'm going to do this, but our brains like to tell us false stories and keep us from making progress and stay stuck in overthinking. So I invited Eva to come on to help share some tips about mindset to help you in your caregiving and entrepreneurship journey because I know we need it. It's a new year, we have goals. And we want to succeed this year in both of these roles, but our mindset needs to come first because if we don't, we're not going to get anywhere. So, Ava, thank you for being on the podcast today.
Well, that's very nice to have me. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Eva, for my listeners who may not be acquainted with your work or have ever heard of you before, could you tell our listeners a little bit about you and your journey?
Well, I'm an anxiety and mindset coach, and I'm so happy to be here today. So basically, what you told us about mindset, it's really interesting because we have all these wishes that we know we can make them come true, but it's just hard for us, and we are not even sure why. So basically, this is actually the core of my work, guiding people through anxious moments, changing their mindset so they can live the lives they want to. And basically, when we talk about mindset, it's just a matter of different perspective. If we look at something from a totally other angle, we can change everything, right?
hmm I love that. And that's why always say, like, whether you're a caregiver or whether you're a business owner, either way, it's good to have somebody in your back pocket. That's why having somebody that's been down the road that you've been through, gone down a similar path to get to the goals that you have in mind can be really good for you because then you have someone that has been there, done that, has already dealt with the troll thoughts and they can guide you along. Or even sometimes, maybe it's not so much just um, necessarily like a specific situation, but sometimes just a needed
Mhm.
pep talk. I know for me, I don't know how many times I've told
Mhm.
my email marketing coach or my business coach, like, hey, I don't necessarily need to be coached on anything
Mhm.
today. It's more, I just need a pep talk. I just need some
I just
encouragement
need
to
to
keep
vent a little
going.
bit.
Yeah, just a little encouragement to kind of keep going because it's a marathon. Both of these roles are a marathon. And like you mentioned the words stress and anxiety. There's that stress and
Mm.
pressure to meet the needs of our loved ones, to be very well educated in making sure we understand what we need to do to take care of our loved ones' health issues. And then there's also the stress of just wanting and the pressure and the anxiety of like with our online careers, we want to do well, but are we going to do it? We got to find the right people. We got to find the right clientele. We have to make sure that everything is working together to where we're consistently growing because it's a business. So we need ROI to be able to pay the bills and pay our teams and even in and of itself, money is a resource. It's a tool. So we need it to come in so we can even just potentially just help more people, right?
Mm.
And it can be overwhelming with all that pressure and anxiety. So what would you say then, Ava, to somebody like if I was your client and I just came to you and I'm like, okay, I'm feeling really anxious, really stressed. I have all this going on. Where would you start with me? What are some first questions or tips that you would probably give
Mm.
me as we're just starting out our journey?
Well, first, I think it's really brave for us to look into our emotions because they are not just emotions, they are also letting us know everything we feel and who we are. So just by understanding, not just feeling anger, but by understanding why we are angry, why we are sad, what makes us feel that way, we can learn so much about ourselves, where we want to be, and what we want to do. Also, what makes us happy, right? So after that, we usually learn about nervous regulation, how to calm yourself in the present moment, because until we deal on that anxiety on an everyday level, we cannot move forward. So basically, if we are stuck thinking why I don't have more clients, why I'm not on my 100th step yet, why I'm still here, we cannot grow. So once we deal with this daily anxiety, we can actually look inside ourselves what we want to achieve and how to get there, right? But of course, there is also mindset work. We need a different perspective, and we are working on our mindset. But this is like our paths are so individual. This is our journey, and it's really important to understand that we have to do the work, right? And the work is not, it's not the same for every one of us, you know.
No, and different perspectives. One thing that I've really loved in my journey that's really helped me is partnering with my dream team. So like your 100K self, the spirit of your business, and then your let's see, 100K self, spirit of your business, and then negative emotion. So turning that negative emotion into something that you can leverage, and doing a lot and just doing brain dump journaling on that has
Mhm.
just been really helpful. I know for me because it kind of because I like have incorporating, especially being a spiritual person, and not to say that everyone is spiritual. When I was working with my business coach on this, and she was doing teaching this, I liked how she said it can work for either whether you're spiritual or not. You know, just God, angels, you know, the universe, whatever you want to put in. But all three have to work together because our work as a business owner, or even your work as a caregiver, is a spiritual journey in of itself because you're willing and you're being brave, you're being willing to do this work to care for your loved one. That's a very sacred and spiritual thing. Whether you do it professionally, like I did in healthcare for 15 years, or cared for multiple family members, you know, it's not something that everyone can do. So the fact that you can do it, that you're choosing to take on that role, which has its whole nuances of stress and anxiety in of itself, it's huge. And
Mhm.
then also too, from a business owner, not everyone is meant. Obviously there's a lot more online business owners now since we're post pandemic, but still not everyone is cut out for that. And that's okay.
Mhm.
So the fact that you are listening to this podcast, the fact that you have been building your business and going after a dream and a passion that you are just you can't hold it in and you got to share it and you want to shout it to the rooftops, that says something special about you. So with that being said, though, you need to make sure that your mindset is strong and that you're tapping into what you're feeling because those feelings dictate your success. And it's okay to leverage negative emotions, you know. Like fear can be a negative, usually it's thought of a good one, but I really loved leveraging fear as motivation to conquer it, to like I'm not going to let it stop me. Okay, I might make mistakes. I might not get it the first time, but you know what? I'm not gonna but here's the thing, if I don't even try at all, I'm not gonna get anywhere at all. I'm not gonna learn a new skill. I'm not gonna figure out at least the first time what works. And maybe the second time I'll learn something else about what works. So fear can be a great place to start of leveraging that mindset, of shifting it into a different perspective from
Mhm.
seeing negative emotions as a bad thing and turning them into a good thing. But of course in a healthy way.
Also, I think it's really important here to know uh, that it's actually about sharing our energy. So if you feel drained, totally drained, you cannot do something. It's either business or whatever you do in life. But if what you're doing is giving you back the energy you needed, it's going to be easier for us to move forward. Of course, if something's draining, it doesn't mean you have to cut it all out. But you do have to change a perspective. You have to take another way that might be more fulfilling for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so then going back to that scenario, like if I'm your client and we're dealing with, we're having to figure out, we're the first step was to just really sit with our emotions and understand why we're angry. Like that
Mhm.
example you say. So once we know why we're angry, then how would you work with someone to deal with that anger? Like we know you understand that they're angry because of maybe I know I'll use me as an example. It was hard to give up my career as a healthcare worker because that meant stability, a consistent paycheck and doing something I loved. But at the same time, we were in a pandemic. My
Mm,
husband was very sick, and I was not wild about having strangers in my home, taking care of my husband and our daughter. So obviously I did it, but still I've had to work through that, of giving up something that I was used to for so long when I'm
mm.
shifting into entrepreneurship. So if that was me, or if you had a client coming to you with a similar situation like that, what would your thoughts be and how to help them in that scenario?
Well, I believe a lot of this fear come from feeling safe. So basically, you felt safe in your career, and now you have to give up, go to something somewhere totally unknown. And of course, we are scared and we are angry to give up what we need. But on the other hand, we always have to think about what's up front of us. Was the safety we had really better than something the possibility of what we can live now? So basically, of course, we are again at mindset. Of course, we have to deal with this anger on daily basis, but deep down inside, it's a mindset. Will I take what I have, or do I want something else? Do I want more? And of course, if it's not safe, we are always feeling a little bit anxious. There's all these emotions because our brains are just wired to keep us in this situation that feels more safe. But at the end of the day, there might be something that's guiding us toward another way where at the end we can also feel safe, but because of this unknown feeling right now, we might have all these emotions coming up. So
Yeah. And I will say too, from the caregiver perspective, that is very much true, especially when you're dealing with a chronic illness that doesn't have more uh, black and white treatment options, or even just a roadmap, if you will, about what to expect, because chronic illness is very unpredictable. Speaking from my experience with caring for my husband with epilepsy, seizure disorders, I mean, you could have 50 people in the same room, and I guarantee you all of them would be having a different experience with navigating that illness. And so, as a caregiver, then from that perspective, it can feel very stressful because with as human beings, we really like structure, we like consistency, we like that
Mhm.
safety of knowing what's going to be coming up next. But when you're a caregiver, that goes out the window.
Mhm.
You really just are riding by the seat of your pants. It can feel like on a daily basis, and that can feel scary.
It's the
I
same with
won't
business, right?
Exactly, in business, because, one quarter you might do same thing with business.
Mhm.
That's why I think it's so interesting about the parallels, if you will, between caregiving and
Mhm.
entrepreneurship. There's all you have to multitask. You have to learn a lot of new skills. It can be up and down. One minute things are fine, like on the caregiving side, your loved one's stable, doing very well with the treatment, or on the business side, you're making very consistent ROI, you're getting leads consistently, but then the next quarter, something changes. Your loved one has a new symptom, and their and their health starts to decline. Or with your business, okay, leads aren't coming in as consistently. What can we tweak to get that volume back up? So it's a constant, and with that comes the roller coaster of your emotions. Right, one minute you're on cloud nine, going or feeling, or at least feeling a little calmer and less stressed. Right, feeling at peace of like, okay, whew, we get a break. We're getting a breather. Okay, I feel like I can breathe a little bit. But then the minute things go the pendulum swings the other way, it's like, oh gosh, okay, what, I don't know if I can do this, or what am I doing
Yeah.
wrong? So
What now?
yeah. So mindset, guys, just like the journey itself of being a caregiver and an entrepreneur, it's going to be a roller coaster. You're going to have good days and you're going to have bad days. But I think the biggest thing to draw from this is learning basic tools and skills to help you deal with your mindset, to have a healthy mindset so you can keep moving forward in being present as the whatever your title is in your business, coach, mentor, whatever. And same thing as a caregiver, being able to be clear headed and present with meeting the needs of your loved ones. So, Ava, can you share some like basic tip tools of how people can deal with their mindset kind of more on a daily basis? So we've gone from, acknowledging that, trying to understand why they're feeling what emotion they're dealing with and why, and just understanding that our brains are just really wired to keep us stuck there and not want to move
Mhm.
forward. So now the third step is, daily maintenance. Okay, now that we understand what our brain's doing and how we can address it with that new perspective, with leveraging negative emotions and different thought ideals, what are some tips that we could give our listeners to help them keep moving forward on a daily basis for daily maintenance with their mindset?
Well, definitely, the first thing they can do is like to really have as much self-awareness as possible. So basically, to look at yourself like realistically as much as we can and catch ourselves in the moment to discover what we are really thinking. So where are our blockages? Because there could be some money blockages, and we can see that every day when we go to the store. We can see the way we think. So doing like that, we can analyze our actual mindset. From then, of course, we have to work on it. So the first thing is affirmations. That, and I didn't, if I'm honest, I didn't really believe in affirmations for a very long time, but they do, because I thought they are like brainwashing yourself, but they do actually have the power that we can use. Because if, if we are using affirmations, but at the same time also working on making them true, then they have power. If we are just telling ourselves that we are, I don't know, pretty, and we don't do anything to make ourselves feel prettier, then it won't work.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
then, yeah, the
yeah.
second tool I think really important is journaling. So as much as we can, like really address the things that are going on inside us, and also like to, as much individuals as we all are, we are actually pretty similar. So we kind of have pretty similar struggles, and we all need to understand it's not just us. A lot of people are walking through this way, and we really need to take that experience and understand it's not just us, and it is possible to achieve what we want.
Yeah. I really love journaling. I've been journaling since I was a little girl. I kept a diary, but even now as an entrepreneur, I kind of backed away from journaling. I'd say in my 20s, I didn't write as much, but in my 30s, and as I'm almost in my 40s, I turned 40 this year. So anyway, and as and this is my year, I tell you, I've just been really trying to focus. That has been something I've been really wanting to focus on this year with me turning 40 this year is just really be healthy, not just in terms of, yes, I'm exercising, upping my exercise routine and drinking lots of water, taking healthy supplements, trying to do what I can, um, you know, not skipping my wellness visits with my doctors, but the mindset piece spiritually, devotional time for me. I'm spiritual, I with upping my devotional time, but also just journaling, just writing out what I'm feeling. So I encourage you this year, if nothing else that you get from this, set a timer, set a reminder in your Google Calendar or an alert on your phone to spend 10 to 15 minutes just writing out, just brain dumping it, as we call it in the entrepreneurial world. Just write out what you're feeling. And remember, no one else is going to see this unless you want to share it with somebody, but just write and let it go, because paper, pen, or if you do it digitally, like on a notes app on your phone or something, it can be helpful because, we have so much. It's amazing how much we have going on up here that we need to get out. And it's also about with mindset. It's a good way to get it out in a healthy way, right? The last thing we want to do
Mhm.
is be screaming at our families, screaming at our friends,
Yeah.
uh, or our loved ones. We want, you need to channel it with dealing with that hidden anger, like we talked about as an example at the beginning of the episode. It's important. And I will encourage too, like, mindset is something that also can trigger undealt with maybe trauma,
Mhm.
maybe as part of it. So if that is you, I definitely encourage you too to also look at, like Ava was saying. Ava said something about, I love what you said about that. It's not just us. Other people are probably experiencing similar things. We're similar. So, with that being said, I do strongly encourage you guys to look at support for yourself, whether that is from the caregiving side, hiring a caregiver coach like me, or maybe a support group in your church, community center, in your community, or maybe even professional counseling. I in my 20s, I did a lot of counseling, and I don't regret it because personally, I was dealing with a lot with a bad relationship, and then my parents, my mother was dealing with a lot of health issues at the time. So it was very traumatic for me, and I needed that safe space to talk about it. And yes, mental health gets kind of a bad rap, and mindset sometimes gets a bad rap, but and counseling gets a bad rap. But guys, it's a good tool. Sometimes tools like we need multiple tools. It's good to have multiple tools in your back belt. Working with someone like Ava or I, that's an awesome start. But sometimes we do need, if there's trauma involved, I definitely recommend going because it's neither of us are trauma specialists. Going the route of a counselor or a therapist can be a great option too, because even though it might feel weird, I get it, might feel weird talking to a stranger, but just bear in mind, they are trained to deal with traumatic situations
Exactly.
and
Yes.
they can give you other tools. Like, okay, medication I know is a big subject that comes up that yes, that is on the table. I did do medication in my early 20s for a little bit as well, and I don't regret it. But they also have referrals to maybe you need someone else, maybe you need a different type of
Mhm.
therapist or specialist that could help you. And by just seeing that counselor or therapist, guys, that gets you in the door to where they can
Mhm.
give a referral. It expedites the process so you get the support and the help that you need. So whatever you get from this, I just want you to be aware that there's multiple tools, multiple ways that you can work on your
Mhm.
mental health, your mindset, because at the end of the day, it's a new year. Ava and I want you heading into this year as sharp as a sword as you can be, okay? By having what you need to thrive and just being able to just start, okay? When you start, it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty when you start, and that's okay. The idea here is that you just start trying to practice, get some healthy practices with these tools, with what tools work for you, so you have a strong mindset to be able to cope with the ebbs and flows, like I talked about, that come with entrepreneurship, that come with caregiving, because it is a lot and it will drain you. It will drain you. So if you want your mindset to be strong and if you want to be able to be strong mentally to cope through with the ups and downs that come with being a caregiver or a business owner, having a strong mindset by leveraging tools and figuring out what works for you. Trial and error. Okay. It's okay to try different things. It's okay to try different things. Um, but when you try something, see what happens. If it, be curious about it.
Well, also,
So yeah.
I think
Oh,
it's
go
very
ahead.
beautiful what you say about seeking help, because at the end, we all have to understand we are not in this alone. There is help for us. Uh, there are also free programs, and they are there for us to get some support, because we don't have to go through all this by ourselves. But at the end of the day, I also understand this is a huge step, probably the most harder step we will ever do in our journey. But yes, if you just do this one thing, everything else will be much easier. So basically, if you just look for help, like moving forward with support will definitely be easier as doing it alone.
Hmm. Absolutely. And it will chill you and not, I mean, come on, who does not do better when you have one saying, you got this, you can do this, or I'm here for you. I think if there's anything we learned in the pandemic when everything was having to shift from being in person to remote, is that as human beings, we really do need community. I mean, I
Mhm.
saw it as a frontline worker. It was heartbreaking seeing my patients. I worked with elderly and dementia patients in long term care facilities. So it was heartbreaking to see these elderly, souls just really struggle mentally with not being able to see their loved ones in person because some of them didn't have or didn't have or even didn't have the benefit of interacting with each other because some of my patients didn't have family that lived locally or like they were the last living of their families, and so we need community, and we need to be together. And as a caregiver too, I understand too from the standpoint too, like if you have someone who does have a compromised immune system and it's not appropriate for you to go out and expose yourself in person, still leverage what digital services there are online. I've seen things pop up. There's a lot more popping up for not only obviously there's been a lot of telehealth doctor availability for like when you need to see a doctor that way um, as well, but there's also now counseling stuff I've seen pop up that's more telehealth and virtual. So don't do your research obviously to make sure it's a good the resource is a good fit for you and that's legit. So definitely be careful, but at the same time there are some good ones out there. So definitely do
Mhm.
your research and think about maybe going that route. If it's don't let the situation of needing to be more isolated for safety to protect your loved one's immune system and you exposing in turn your loved one stop you from getting the health that you need. Okay, it's so important that you still go after this and go and getting the help that you need, whether it's in person or whether it's virtual. Either are important. So Ava, what is one thing that you could share as kind of like a little pep talk as we end this episode that you have learned that you'd like to share? Something that maybe has happened to you in your journey of dealing with your own mindset that might be of encouragement, or maybe something we talked about today. What would be something you want to leave our listeners with?
Well, I was actually just thinking today about how we can how we can think about, for example, let's take jealousy. So maybe we are looking at our friends, our neighbors, and we want some personal trait that they have. So we are feeling this jealousy, but at the end, if we change our perspective, so shift our mindset, this is a trait we want to have. So basically, instead of feeling jealous, as soon as we start to think about it like that, instead of feeling jealous, we can learn from this person. What do they do different from us? And we can learn a new skill that we want to. So basically, if we look at our lives, always we can find something to get to learn a new skill. And also with mindset, I think it's just ever shifting sponge of our minds. And it's basically, it's my mindset is probably not even the same as yesterday. So, which means every day I find something new and slowly shift it if I can. Sometimes I can find something new and I'm not ready to shift it yet, and I just leave it for later, right? And this is again, like you said, sometimes we discover some traumas. So things from the past that are still like a little bit sore, and we are not ready to deal with them yet. But the magic here is that once we notice them, it means that we are actually starting our healing and we are shifting our mindset and our perspective. So I think it's really important, even in the rough times when we are like feeling super sad about everything bad that has happened to us, these times have enormous healing potential, and they're they're actually, we are setting a foundation from where we can go. So as Melissa said, if you are starting your healing journey, it won't be easy, but in this journey you will learn how to get new skills, how to become who you actually are, and how to live more like simply happier life,
Yeah,
not yeah.
I like that. Well, and it's a marathon, and with it being a marathon, I mean, think about professional athletes, okay? They train for years to get to where they want to go. If they want to be a professional athlete just long term, or if they want to go to the Olympics, I guarantee you the first day they went out for training that they didn't do a mile like right out the gate.
Mhm.
Okay, they had to work up to it. I know personally, I'm personally working on building up to doing 2 mile workouts. I just started at the beginning of January. All of last year, I did 1 mile workouts, and my body's feeling it. Y'all, I'm not gonna
Mhm.
lie, my body's feeling it. It's having to adjust because I'm pushing my body towards getting it trained and conditioned to do something new that it hasn't been used to doing before. But that's okay. And that's my goal. I'm doing it 6 days a week, all throughout the year and
Mhm.
committing to it. And I know that where I'm at now, health wise, it's going to be better by the time I hit December 31st. And the same is true with your mindset, okay? And your healing journey. If, like Ava said, if you're dealing with past trauma, where you start today, if you commit to spending time every day doing it, it doesn't, again, it can, you can start slow. Just start, commit to start doing something every day about it. Maybe it's 15 minutes of journaling in the morning or at night. Maybe it's starting to see a counselor or a therapist once a week to start dealing with those past traumas to get professional help. Maybe it's starting to do that scary thing that you've been trying to do in your business and you've been procrastinating and procrastinating and procrastinating, but now you're like, okay, I'm going to launch this offer, or I'm going to
Mhm.
do this new website, or I'm going to create this new product, and I'm just going to test it out to my email list and screw it, whatever happens happens, because you go in with the mindset of like, I don't know how to make it better unless I get feedback from people and test it. Or maybe as a caregiver, I know for a lot of you who are caregivers who don't have the benefit of professional or personal experience like I do, going again with that mindset of like, okay, if I can learn to master email marketing, doing a website, networking, all these other skills that social media that you have to learn as a online entrepreneur, say transfer that over to your caregiving journey. It's like, okay, I'm going to learn how to safely transfer my loved one. I'm going to learn how to document their symptoms. I'm going to learn how to give their medications, and I'm going to learn how to prioritize time for do time management between time for and making sure that my loved ones needs are met, but more importantly, I'm going to make sure that I have time to prioritize time throughout the day for me, whether it's only 10 to 15 minutes at a time throughout the day, to prioritize my own mental health, my own spiritual
Mhm.
health, my own physical health. And again, pockets of time. It could be 15 minutes in the morning to do a devotional, 25 minutes maybe to get a workout in, or 15 minutes. Maybe it's just simply having a reusable water bottle. And like if you're trying to increase your intake on water, like I am, I got a reusable water bottle, and that keeps my water cold, so I can put a lot of ice into it because I figured out I really like cold water. If I don't have it cold, I won't drink it. Just little shifts like that, and I promise it'll snowball into something amazing for you. And especially since we're in a new year, this is your time. 2025 can be your year, guys, to take just status quo to amazing. So, Ava, if my listeners are interested in learning more about you and your work, what is the best way for them to connect with you?
Well, the best way would definitely be my website. Or you can subscribe to my email list. There, I'm always sharing new tips about organization, mindset, and anxiety, basically day-to-day life. And I'm also preparing a bundle that's coming out on 25th of January, a collection of more than 30 resources. So this might be interesting. And
Nice.
yeah,
Is there a wait list for that bundle that people could
no,
subscribe
there's
to
no
get
wait list.
information?
No, there's
Huh?
no wait list, but if you are on my email list, they will definitely see it.
Oh, okay, to be aware. Okay, all right, guys. So if you're interested in getting some free resources to help you with your mindset and healing journey, definitely subscribe to Ava's email list so you can be notified when that bundle drops. And also, as always, wherever you're watching this on my blog, YouTube channel, Apple, Spotify. It'll be all below in the description below for you, with all of Ava's links and contacts, socials, everything, so you can connect with her on your own time to learn more about Ava. So, anyway, Ava, thank you so much for agreeing to
Thank
be
you very
on this
much.
episode of the Caregiving and Entrepreneurship podcast. I loved what you had to say. I really feel like this is going to really help a lot of people with shifting their mindsets, and even if it's just something small, just if nothing else, being encouraged to just start slow, start small, start doing something to better their mindset and their overall health in dealing with healing, whatever way shape that might be, that this will propel them in the right direction. And always, guys, if you are struggling, if one of your things that you're feeling stuck on and how to start with is getting a handle on your loved one's medical history, I have my 911 blueprint response calls. They are available right now for $97, and that's basically where we just sit on a call and I help you organize your loved one's medical history with my 911 Sanity Savers. So that information will be linked below as well. And as always, guys, remember that you're not alone. You're doing the best you can. No one knows your loved one or your business better than you. And I will see you guys again soon for another episode of the Caregiving and Entrepreneurship Reimagined podcast. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Take care.